Hey guys, welcome to CraterMania. I'm your host, the man they call Crater, and I want to welcome you all to How I Got Into Wrestling. And this is the show where we learn about how wrestling fans from all over the world give their perspective of how they got into wrestling. And on today's show, we have a very special guest. And this man I've only known now for just a few weeks. And after he began following the channel. And you see, everyone I've had on the show so far have been, people I've been friends with for a while. And I'm super thankful, that they agreed to do the show. So it makes me just as thankful for people like my guest today, who I've only known for such a short time. But as I've said before, I started this show so I could talk with any and all fans of professional wrestling because I genuinely love, just hearing all these different stories from people who have that mutual love for wrestling. And not only is this guy a fan of wrestling, he's a wrestler himself based out of Michigan, and I'm super happy to have him here today. So now entering the CraterMania arena, Ray of Killer Pizza Video, but in the wrestling world, you may know him as Bad News Cruz. What's going on, man?
Not too much. What's going on with you, brother?
Not a lot. Just glad to have you here. And thanks again for just following the channel and everything, man. And just like I said, I love talking with any and all wrestling fans, and it's super cool to have you here because you're also a professional wrestler, man.
Oh well, I appreciate it, man. Like I said, I've been watching you since like WrestleManiacs, and every time you join
Oh,
Dead Pit
okay.
after like Mania, SummerSlam, I always watch a lot of those. I tend not to be in the chat so much because I save them to play at work. But yeah, man, I've been listening to a lot of these episodes, and I think you're doing a kick-ass job. And I just hope I can like be as fun as everyone's been on the show because it's been pretty cool so far.
Dude, like you'll be fine, and I'm just glad to have you here, and thank you for following the other stuff too, like the WrestleManiac stuff. Yeah, I've been doing that with the Dead Pit Boys for a long time now. I've known them for like 17 years or something now. So, and they live very close to me, so we're good friends, and real life and everything too. Um, but before we get into the main part of the show, man, just tell everyone a little bit about who you are. As far as your YouTube channel and as a wrestler, man.
Alrighty, well, as Crater said, my real name is Ray. I'm from the Metro Detroit area. I've been doing my YouTube channel, Killer Pizza, for quite a while now, maybe 7, 8 years, and just on there talking about my love for horror movies and everything. And yeah, I've been a lifelong wrestling fan. I got into the professional wrestling business almost by accident, which I'm sure we'll get into and everything. But yeah, I'm just a regular nerd that lives in Detroit. I love wrestling. I love music, all the fun stuff, all the media.
And you're a big horror movie fan too, right?
Oh yeah, obsessed.
And I know this is a wrestling show, but I gotta ask, man, since you are a horror fan, what's your favorite horror movie of all time?
Well, Turn of the Living Dead.
Hell yeah, man. That's one of my top favorites as well.
Got this at Scarefest in your neck of the woods last year. So other than that, I'd say 78 Dawn of the Dead,
Oh, that's
original
my favorite.
Halloween, John Carpenter's The Thing, just to name a few. I'm definitely an 80s kind of guy.
Hell yeah, we'll get along really well then, man. Cause like Dawn of the Dead, The Thing, those are some of my favorite movies of all
Oh
time,
yeah,
dude.
so good.
But let's go ahead and jump right into this interview. So let's talk some wrestling. Um, as a fan, how did you first get into wrestling?
For one, as I said, I've been listening to a lot of the episodes, and this is like the hardest question to answer, so I don't feel alone with this one because it's going to be a layered answer.
Okay.
So, for one, my understanding is on my dad's side of the family, they watch a lot of pro wrestling. I'm not really close to that side of the family, like growing up, but apparently, like as a baby, I used to watch a lot of wrestling. And then one of my first memories wasn't watching wrestling; it was the Hasbro toys that I used to play with,
Okay.
and I remember get in the ring and everything. We used to go to the flea market out here and pick up the wrestlers along with like the Ninja Turtle toys and all that stuff. And then I can't really tell you the first moment I remember watching wrestling or getting into it, but it really stemmed my love for horror, media, and wrestling all happened at once. Because when I was a little kid, we used to, if we were good at school, I have one sibling, my older sister, we would get to go to Videotron in my hometown, and it was 3 movies, 3 nights, 3 days. So if we're good, we got to go to the video store, maybe get a pizza. And my sister would always rent a horror movie. And since she was the older sibling, we always watched that first that night. And I had to wait till the morning to watch my wrestling tapes because that's all I would rent. This video store was stacked. When it comes to WWF tapes, it had everything from like 83, 85, 4, 5 onto like the original pay-per-views all the way up, everything current.
Oh, wow.
It's 2 NWA tapes. And so I would wait till the morning, and I had to have been 5, 6, 7. And at the time, like we grew up like not a lot of money. So we had a 2-bedroom apartment. Me and my sister used to argue and fight so much that my mom gave up the master bedroom and gave it to my sister and slept on a layer of rolled up blankets in the living room on the floor, which looking back on that, that's pretty great. If I was a parent, which I would say get along or get out. But anyways, I'd probably wake up at 4 in the morning because I'm 5 or 6. And I remember sitting Indian style at the RCA TV. And I remember having on literally volume 2 or 3 because I didn't want to wake my mom up. And it was all those early Coliseum tapes.
Oh, yeah.
So my earliest memory is just Hogan posing at the end. That's what got me into it. Just
so that seems like that's a lot of people I've had on the show so far. Like Hogan is really the one that. So he's the first guy that you really became a big fan of.
100%, because it's kind of funny when you look back on it. Like I was born in 1988, so like a lot of the stuff I was watching wasn't current. It was maybe like 2 years prior. Right. You know what I mean? Everything in the video store. So that's what like influenced me. Like it's kind of crazy to think when we were kids, like we watched Terminator when it was a new release. But anyways, yeah, most of the tapes I watched were from 88 to 94. And most of those always had Hogan posing at the end and, larger than life, superstars and everything.
So what year was that when you first got into it? Do you remember?
I probably barely knew how to even read or write. I'd walk. I remember the shelves being taller than me. I'd say if I had to guess, I'd say 92, 93.
Oh, okay.
I was like real little. And like I said, I'd either get a wrestling tape or Rocky IV every single time.
I think that's such a great time to get into wrestling too. Cause like, I was born in 86. You said you were born in 88. So I'm just a couple years older than you. And I didn't get into it like, 1990. So like, I just feel like that whole, like that run from like 90 to like 94 was a perfect time to really get into wrestling because it was there were so many great things going on at that time, but it just a few years later, past 94 is when wrestling really started to pick up and get people noticing, so yeah, I mean, I have so many fond memories from when I was a kid, around that time, just really getting into wrestling, and even though like Sting was the first one that I got into, Hogan was definitely one of those first ones too that I was a fan of. So what about Hogan really like appealed to you that made you want to become such a super fan of him?
Well, for one, I want to say I think people give him too much of a hard time for the shit he said and got heat for. I don't want to get into that, but my argument for people that get upset about that is like, I can't take away how he made me feel as a little kid.
Exactly.
Like I said, single mom, me waking up on my own that early. It's like I'm all alone, nice and quiet, and just my escape time. Because the renting those tapes, wrestling was always my escape. And I think I liked wrestling because it was just action packed, fun, And with Hogan, he just always did the right thing. I really ate into that as a little kid, and as much as he cheated in his matches, back rakes and eye rakes and everything, it's just like it's just a feeling that I got inside. There's certain wrestlers I couldn't explain it, and it's like I said, people that dislike Hogan, I say he just really carried me through when I was younger and just gave me hope. I think it's because as big as he was, strong as he was, he always did the right thing and fought, he fought for America against Slaughter, Macho Man turned his back on him. And when he was, and I just think they had that superhero thing to it. I always remember I wasn't too into the old stuff, but I remember my mom picking up a bunch of clamshells at a garage sale, and one had the training montage with Mean Gene and Hogan, and just kind of reminded me of Rocky Balboa. You know what I mean? Just do the right thing, and just cool to have a happy ending every time. The flexing, the posing. I remember him bringing in the signs from the fans. He's, the you guys get louder, you guys get louder. The American flag, the whole deal, and it's just tan, jacked. you know,
That's what I love to hear, man, because that's pretty much exactly why I became a fan of him back then, and just those Hulkamania tapes that they put out, just like they did like 6 of them or something, and it was just kind of like a greatest hits of all of his stuff, and that's really what was another thing that made him stand out to me because, like you said, he's kind of like a superhero because there wasn't really a lot of guys during that time that they were getting their own individual VHS tapes put out about them and stuff.
yeah,
So, and then I love that the comparison to Rocky Balboa, just because it's funny, just because Hogan was in Rocky 3 as Thunder Lips, and so I think that's another thing that just kind of really appealed back because not only was this big huge name wrestler, but he was also like the first wrestler that kind of became a movie star as well. Um, do you have any favorite movies of Hogan?
Oh well, No Holds Barred's the one that always stands out. I all the other ones I haven't seen in so long. What was the one that he took time off? Trouble in the one with the boat.
Oh,
Thunder.
I think it's called Thunder in Paradise.
Yeah, yeah. I
Actually,
used to like the
I
show.
think uh, I think I had the VHS right here. So, so
That's
yeah,
awesome.
Thunder in Paradise. That's super cool. Man, I actually bought one of the last conventions I went to. I paid like $5 for that. I was like, oh, I gotta have it's a shitty movie, but I had to have it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. I mean, I love nothing but shitty movies, pretty much.
Same. So besides Hogan, what were some other wrestlers that stood out to you, during that time when you were first becoming a fan?
Well, when I was first becoming a fan, it's funny. Well, obviously Roddy Piper, like around '92 and everything. Bret Hart is my favorite wrestler of all time.
Hell yeah, man.
Number one favorite. So he stood out a lot. I love the Rockers. Were a big favorite of mine. Demolition and British Bulldog. Obviously, the British Bulldogs as well. It's funny. Me wearing the shirt. I loved a lot of the heels as a little kid, and it's like I love Rick the Model Martel, $1 Million Man, IRS, and it's like I didn't understand why, or the Mountie. I like the Mountie a lot, and I didn't understand why I liked these characters as a kid, and then once again, like making you believe in wrestling. As I get older, I'm like, oh, because they're all really good wrestlers. I was just too little to even know what wrestling was.
That's really cool, man. Like, so you just liked them because they were good wrestlers. You didn't necessarily like them because they were bad guys.
Yeah, like in my mind, I was like my inner monologue. I remember as a kid was like, question, why do you like these guys? They're bad. And I'm like, I just was, it was exciting stuff. I mean, with that being said, too, like Tito Santana for another babyface, Texas Tornado, Undertaker, obviously.
Oh, of course.
Like his casket match with Yokozuna, both of them. Like that match like gets shit on so much where he gets like levitated after I think Rumble '94.
Yeah, that's they had one at Survivor Series as well because
the Chuck Norris one.
Chuck Norris just passed away, and I just totally forgot about that. I was like, oh my gosh, he did show up at Survivor Series during that match.
Lex Luger as well in the early days. I remember them playing his theme song at elementary school, like an assembly, and it was like it was like some American theme. I don't know what it is exactly. You know what I'm talking about? The dun 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 dun.
Yeah,
I remember crying in elementary school at the assembly because his music was playing, and it just made me feel so patriotic.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because I knew of Lex Luger before his WWF run when he was doing like the narcissist stuff, and then he came like the red, white, and blue, Lex Express stuff. But like, I didn't really become a fan of him until he was doing like the he body slammed Yokozuna, and then he was doing like the Lex Express. So, and then they put out like this music video.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I'll be your hero. So that shit used to make me cry when I was a kid. And it made me feel like so patriotic, like you said. And like that's hilarious. I love and I became a big fan of Lex Luger after that. So.
With all that being said, like I don't want to jump ahead in anything, but just with what we're talking about, the feelings we have in wrestling, I hear a lot of people saying like they hate Cody Rhodes. and people hated Cena, and I get, we all have
Mm-hmm.
our right to an opinion in wrestling, but a lot of us need to remember that like this isn't just for us; it's for kids too. And like
Yeah.
the kids need someone to believe in, and if just because you don't, just because I don't believe in Cody Rhodes in my late 30s, it's not for me. Like that's why certain wrestlers are for me. You know what I mean? I think just to be able to intertwine each area and what people like.
And I'm such a fan of Dusty Rhodes. I don't think that I could ever hate Cody Rhodes just out of respect for Dusty,
That's funny. It's true though.
Because I mean, Dusty's another one of those guys. I could do a whole show on Dusty Rhodes and how much I love him, dude. But
The Hard Times promo.
oh God,
Like sometimes if
that
I'm like working out and I have no motivation, I'll like listen to that.
exactly. Yeah. If you just want to motivate yourself, this goes for anybody watching. If you want to motivate yourself, just go watch a Dusty Rhodes promo. Hot times, daddy. But are there any memorable matches or moments that kind of stick out to you from that time as well?
In that time or in general?
Just from when you first got into it.
I remember Macho Man or no Slaughter beating Warrior for the title at the Rumble stood out because of that scepter shot from Savage. It was like real emotional. Pretty much any Hogan main event. I'm trying to think my favorite Hogan. Obviously, him and Warrior is probably my favorite. A lot of Royal Rumbles stand out to me. Those are my favorite matches ever.
Oh, me too.
And I'd say Bret Hart, Owen Hart, WrestleMania 10.
Hell yeah,
Razor
dude.
Ramon, Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 10. Owen Hart, Bret Hart, steel cage match.
SummerSlam.
Bret Hart, Mr. Perfect. Bret Hart, Bam Bam Bigelow.
Damn, those are some good ones, man. Yeah, Bret and Owen at WrestleMania 10, that's like tied for my favorite match of all time. It's tied with Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio Jr. at Halloween Havoc 97.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Those are like the two best matches to me ever. But so like you mentioned that I think it was Warrior and Slaughter. So like leading in, going back to what you were talking about, because you're a fan of Hogan. When it was going into that WrestleMania, when Slaughter versus Hogan, I just have to ask this: like, have you followed on all the stories behind that match of what was going on
Oh
with
yeah.
Slaughter and everything?
Oh yeah.
So what's your thoughts on all that?
I wouldn't doubt that he got death threats, but I don't really believe in them having to move the building because of that.
It's very. I think that was kind of just to go along with it.
You could question why would they lie, and it's like, well, if I was running the business, I might want to bullshit that too. Just the way they did it was maybe a little tasteless because of the circumstances, but I mean, I didn't care.
It is Vince McMahon,
Yeah.
and he loves to build hype no matter how he can. I mean, the dude came up with a storyline for Kane where he fucked a dead chick. So, I mean, I really don't put it past him. So,
no.
Do you collect anything when it comes to wrestling?
Oh man, I was gonna grab some stuff, but I was like running so late setting up. So, for one, I want to collect figures really bad. I have a couple friends that are big into figures, so like, whenever I go into like Walmart, I'll check for them. But then I don't want to go down that rabbit hole because if I do, I'm gonna go crazy. As you can see from the shelf behind me, I grab a lot of movies. But recently I've been picking up my favorite wrestlers. I have like 4 elites of Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, some Bret Harts. I got this really big lot of VHS tapes from another wrestler, actually. He was a rookie, and I thought he was giving me way too good of a price, by the way. And because he's like 20, young kid, and he's like, he got them from some older guy, and he's like, I don't need these. And he like sold me like 40 tapes for like $15-20.
Oh my gosh.
I remember going to buy him, and my buddy, we call him Cody Canary, he's like, you're selling them those for how much? I'm like, shut the fuck up, man. Shut up. But other than that, I pretty much just collect VHS tapes. I actually just grabbed this one from I went to the Totally Rad 90s Con in Detroit. I grabbed this.
That's awesome. I haven't seen that in years.
I have the Razor Ramon Intercontinental Championship, the custom. I wish I would have brought that upstairs.
Oh man, I
The
would love to
purple one
see
with all the
that.
gold chains. I'll take
Yeah.
a picture of it later and share it to show you because
All right, killer man. I'd love to
it's got
see
a little
that.
pocket in the side by the side plates where you can put your toothpicks in.
Mm. That's that's awesome, dude.
But other than
Yeah,
that, just
you gotta show me that.
t-shirts and stuff too. I was thinking
Mhm.
about buying one of those like pro wrestling tee crates,
Yeah,
almost for the sake of YouTube. Just so let's see what
dude,
I
I
got.
love those.
I
I
watch them
love
all the
getting.
time.
I haven't gotten one in a while now, but I was subscribed there for a good while. So I think they changed their policy of how they distribute them now, though. I think instead of getting one per month, I think it's one every other month now. So I think you only get like 6 boxes a year now, as opposed to what it was 12. Um, but if you like those boxes, I know that a lot of people would buy those boxes for the micro brawler figures in them.
Yeah, those are really collectible, I guess.
So even though they have less boxes throughout the year now, they did, make good on the micro brawler part of it, and I think you get 2 per box now. So you're still getting 12 micro brawlers a year at
The
least.
coolest
So
part for me is like the 2 t-shirts. If you get that
yeah.
set. And then like the mystery things, you could get like a Cabanarama bandana or like a
Mhm.
Penta mask. I'm like, you ever watch those and you see someone get the mask and they're like, who's this? And you get mad. Like
So like
that's
an
your human, man.
unboxing. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've never watched an unboxing online
they're
of those,
kind of
but
fun. They're kind of fun.
that would be fun to do on the channel sometime later on if I get back into those. But yeah, you mentioned like wrestling figures as well, man. Like that's a I've been collecting wrestling figures for years and years, and I talked to Garrett from Born to Be Rad about this not long ago. Is because he's a big wrestling figure guy too, and but it's just got to the point where there's so many now that I can't collect all of them.
Oh
So
yeah,
I've had to like dwindle it down to just certain wrestlers. Like I collect Sting, Dusty, Roddy Piper, and
just your favorites.
just a few other guys. Yeah, because
Because
like
they'll put stuff out. They'll have the Goon or Mabel or you know what I mean, Skinner. Like no disrespect to them, but like the figures look so good. It's like, oh my god.
they do, man, and it makes it so difficult because I love grabbing those random, figures of different guys that you wouldn't think they would put out. Like I don't think they put it out yet, but they're getting ready to. It's do you remember when Rikishi was doing the gimmick in the 90s where it was make a difference Fatu?
Oh yeah.
So they're making a figure. I'm like, I have to get that because you would never think that they would put that figure out.
Well, as
It's
they say,
hilarious.
it's a toyetic figure with the colors and everything.
Oh
Kind of a
yeah, man.
shame that gimmick didn't get over really because what it's during the '90s, during like hip hop and everything. Right around the
Yeah,
time Tupac and Biggie got killed too.
because I think when they were doing that, it was like shortly after that they changed his gimmick to the Sultan, right?
Yeah, he had a lot
So
of gimmicks.
yeah, he was
I thought you were
long.
about to say Rikishi had a figure coming out wearing Rikishi wear, fat wear. I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to get that.
Yeah, it was kind of like FUBU, but it was like his own
Yeah.
brand or whatever. I forgot about that shit. That's hilarious. So I know you're a wrestler. Even though you are a wrestler, you're still a wrestling fan.
Hmm.
So how do you feel about the state of wrestling today as opposed to when you got into it initially years ago? And not just wrestling on TV, but just wrestling in general.
Well, for one, on a independent level and on the big shows, it's a good thing and a bad thing because there's way more places for everyone to work, way more places for fans to watch. Like I don't know how the independent scene is by you guys down there, Kentucky, but there's a Fed every 30 minutes to an hour out here. They're
Oh my
everywhere,
god,
and it's like
lucky.
yeah, there's probably 30, 40 promotions in Michigan, indie shows, and I think it's really good. Like I said, to give the fans more to watch and more work, but on the big shows and especially with the internet and the indies and all that, I think stuff can get oversaturated. And I think that's a big problem why people gripe about it, and which is funny because there should be something for everyone, but which there is. But I think it's a good thing. I just think wrestling will never have the same magic when Saturday night's main event was like the only thing you could watch because you had to like wait to watch Hogan wrestle. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's kind of like the NXT factor. Back in the day, everyone loved the black and gold NXT. I never watched. I'm not hating, but people would say NXT is so good. I go, yeah, but they get to push two guys up, main event scene, and then one guy loses the belt, he gets called up, and then the next guy comes up and they feud. So you never have to worry about rotating wrestlers around, just like where they have the issue like in WWE, you never see tag team wrestling. You can't get everyone on the card. I get it, but I just think it's a good thing and a bad thing, because with the internet and how many feds there are, just we see too much, and it's kind of like the less you see is more. You know what I mean? Like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Scarface, both chainsaw scenes, you don't see it. The less you see is better for you. You know what I mean? And I just think when you see every little thing, there's more to complain about.
Yeah, I think you make an excellent point there. Because it makes you anticipate things more that way. The less you see, like nowadays, if you watch wrestling on TV, you have like a different show on TV every night of the week almost. And then outside of this stuff that's on TV, you got stuff that's on YouTube and just your local, independent stuff. It's like wrestling is everywhere now. Like, and you can experience it every single day if you want to, if you wish. But like, and I'm somebody, I watch wrestling almost every day, but like, but a lot of the stuff that if I'm watching it every day, I'm watching stuff that's already happened like years ago. I watch a lot of the old school stuff. With how many different promotions that are on TV nowadays, it feels like there's so much that you got to keep up with, currently with all of that, and it makes it difficult, and sometimes it can be confusing because you can get certain guys, stories going on in one promotion as opposed to something else going on in another promotion. And while I love that, I don't want to make it sound like I'm complaining, but I do love that. I try to follow as much as possible, but I definitely just want to make that point that like what you were saying is it made it more appealing when we were kids because it wasn't as exposed as much.
Yeah, and if you had a friend that was getting the pay-per-view, which there was 4 pay-per-views a year, was like so exciting. I think a good way of looking at it too is like, think of streaming now. Like, it's fun when Stranger Things last season comes out and I can binge watch 5 episodes at once. But like the old water cooler talk like idea back in the day, like when Walking Dead came out once a week and that was like taking over everything, you'd watch the one episode and it would end on a little cliffhanger. Then you go to work and did you see this? Oh, I can't wait. And you're waiting and waiting and waiting until you see the next episode. And when you have it all the time, it's like, I remember when I first broke into wrestling, one of my best friends in the business who just retired, Backwoods Bam, we trained together and everything. And like, I'd stay over at his house and sleep on his couch. That way we would carpool and everyone's in one spot. And then we would talk wrestling all morning, a whole car ride up, talk wrestling, go to the show. Everyone's talking their matches. You watch all the matches, do your match. You're on that high riding back. You're talking the matches. We get back to his house. We start cracking some brewskis, some Steve Weisers, and he throw on wrestling. And I said, can we like just play some music or something? Like it's too much. I need to step away a little bit, And when you have it that much, it's like, I don't know what my point was, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I
oversaturation.
I completely understand what you're saying and you make a good point when you talk about like Stranger Things or Walking Dead or any of these shows where you can they unload every episode all at once and people can binge watch in like 1 or 2 nights. And because I love that too, like back in the day watching
exactly,
TV,
yeah, it's fun.
Not just wrestling, but just other TV shows where my friends like those shows as well. We talk about them at school or wherever, and then we did we said, what's going to happen next week? Well, nowadays you got like I could watch everything all at once like in one night, but my friend may not do that, and then I'll start talking about it with the next time I see him. He goes, "Oh, I haven't watched them all yet," or and there's like. That's a big thing right now. You have to watch out for like spoilers for stuff if you don't watch it when it happens.
Got to stay completely off your phone and everything.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, internet.
Yeah.
But I do. Someone asked a question here. Said from Side Hustle Cinema, they asked, "What is your favorite wrestling movie? What's your favorite wrestling movie, Ray?"
Oh, I can't even really think of a lot of them. Does Escape from New York count? That fight, is that wrestling?
I
Actually, I would probably say the wrestler. If it's kind of cliche, but off the top of my head, oh,
Yeah,
actually, no holds barred, no holds or no, not no holds barred. The hell, you were just talking about it with Pizzal. Beyond the Mat.
Oh, the documentary.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's got
I
to be
love
it.
I love that one as well, man. But yeah, you make a Escape from New York, the fight with Ox Baker. That's I didn't even think about that. But that's awesome. Um, my favorite wrestling movie would probably be Body Slam. Have you ever seen that one?
Body Slam. That's an older movie?
Yeah, it's from the '80s. It's got Roddy Piper in it.
How have I not seen that?
Ric Flair makes a small appearance. It's got Captain Lou Albano's in it.
I know I've heard of that.
Yeah, there's a ton of wrestlers in it, and but the main star is Dirk Benedict, who played Face on the A Team.
Okay.
So he's like the law. He's a lawyer in the movie, and he's a lawyer for these wrestlers like Roddy Piper and the Tonga Kid and all these guys. And it's a great. If you've never seen it, I highly recommend it.
Let's say Wrestling with Shadows, the Bret Hart movie is pretty good too, and that new Raven movie that came out was okay.
I've not watched that one yet.
Yeah, I'd go with Beyond the Mat.
That's a good one, man. I don't think Pizzell, I don't think he had seen it because I mentioned it to him.
I was shocked when I heard that.
Yeah, I was like, that's crazy because that was like huge when it first came out. You know, it covers the stuff with Mick Foley and Terry Funk and Jake the Snake and all that in it. The Terry Funk stuff, and I think he mentioned it was either him or Dave that mentioned they had that Terry Funk event like on a bootleg DVD or something. I would love to get a hold of that.
Here's a good one.
I'm not familiar with that one.
It's a company I work for. I was in this one.
Oh, okay.
Our friend Rudy, she's a film student. She used to do production. She put this out like about the company years ago. So
is it like a documentary as well?
Yeah, about how the company started and everything. So
can I watch that anywhere? Is it available anywhere online?
I can ask her about it, or I could even see if she's got some copies or something. Or maybe I can rip this online myself.
Yeah, I would love to see it, man. Anything kind of wrestling documentaries, I would love to watch.
Like, I was in like my first and second year, and I was so salty I wasn't on the cover. And I look back and I was like, why would I think that's going to be on the cover?
So CK from Dead Pit's in here. He says he binge watched the Spice Channel back in the day.
Dude, hey, you're speaking my lingo, brother, for sure.
Yeah, I used to. I didn't have the Spice Channel back in the day. All we had was like do you remember like there'd be like a channel on your TV? It was like
the preview channel.
Well, no, it'd be like the screen was all warbled, like it's like going back and forth, and you trying to make out like what the picture is.
I know all too well.
That was my closest thing to the Spice Channel back in the day.
Yeah, we didn't all have that giant satellite dish, CK, man.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, Mike Vance was shelling out the big bucks back in the day for that satellite. But
I did like the tapes like CK used to do. I heard that in his interview. I was the kid in the neighborhood that did that. I would
the tape tray?
Yeah, and I'd record stuff off TV or get to record stuff from the DVD player to the tape, and then I had like one of those big dad cameras, and I could plug that in with auxiliary cords and have two VCRs and to make extra tapes and sell them to the kids in the neighborhood.
Yeah, we did a lot of tape trading here in our area growing up, and just like a lot of this stuff was done either just amongst friends or just guys at the flea market or whatever. That was a lot of the way of how I discovered ECW and stuff back in the day. So
those were actually the tapes I sold the most.
The ECW ones,
because I remember you'd have the old preview channel, and it would be like it'd be 90 minutes worth of blocks so you could see what's coming up. And I remember like on school nights sitting Indian style on the ground, like my hand on record, waiting. And it was like a local channel, and I had to wait every half hour to see what would come on. And then, you get the VCR ready, stop, ready to hit record. And then it would start playing again. You'd have to hit play, see where you're at, rewind it, stop, be like a 5-minute little lap. And then when ECW was on, hit record, boom. And then I think I was a really good tape trader, because when the commercial would hit, I'd rewind it back and cut it right where it ended. And then right when the show came back on, record, no commercials, Which the irony is now, if we had these tapes, we would want the commercials in there.
Right. Yeah. I'm one of those people, and me and my wife actually both do this. So, if you go on YouTube, there's like compilation videos that last hours of all these different old commercials from the 80s and 90s and stuff. We we just watch those all the time for fun, and we're like, "Oh, I remember that. I remember that too."
Dude, I watch those when I have trouble sleeping, and then I wake up. It's like Pete, I'm like, huh?
I love that, man.
Hell
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, but I have like these old WCW Nitros, from TNT. So like they're on these bootleg DVDs that I have. So they have like everything in them, like the old music and everything. They're all unedited. So they even have the commercials that they would run on TNT. So like every now and then, if you watch one of those episodes, you get like a Monster Vision with Joe Bob Briggs commercial in there.
Or
And
you,
that's
or you think, man, I really should buy some Valvoline. They were always sponsored by Valvoline.
they were doing a lot of Valvoline promotion on WCW for sure. I guess that's just because I don't know if when they were at the same time they had like their own NASCAR, WCW NASCAR, and I don't know if I guess it was partnered with Valvoline. I'm really not sure, but
yeah, something like that probably.
So, what is your most favorite thing and your least favorite thing about being a wrestling fan?
Well, for one, I don't like the internet wrestling community complains too much. I complain too. I think we have the right to. We shouldn't just accept if something sucks. But like I follow a page called like cringy wrestling stuff or page or whatever, and you're on there and people will be like, "Oh, look, Triple H said this and that. He's racist." I'm like, you guys, it's fun to know about wrestling, but we don't have to know how the sausage is made. Just have fun. But at the same time, I would say like the community of it, it like just us meeting and talking about this, you know what I mean, having fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess just, as cliche as it is, the entertainment aspect. I mean, it's a boring question, but I watch it just like I watch movies, and it's a lot of fun. And yeah, I don't know. And I think just wrestling always being there for me, it was like a babysitter to me. Like
same.
I feel like I was babysat by Stone Cold at some time, just
yeah, that's good to tell. So it's like, what did you just get? Well, I was babysat by Stone Cold.
It's cool because you can like relate it to like other sports or combat sports, wrestling or like theater, like so many different things. But it's just such an original thing, really. It's such a carny, old school thing. And I mean, I was just at that Totally Rad '90s Vintage Fest, and it's like Bobo Brazil wrestled in there. The Sheik. It's like, this is fucking sweet. A lot of history went down here, and I just think it's one of the oldest forms of entertainment, and I think it's pretty cool how it's evolved and everything. And I don't know. I don't know if I gave a good answer for either or.
Oh no, man, that's great. Like I completely know where you're coming from. Have you ever been to a wrestling convention before?
Not a pure wrestling convention, but Astronomicon that comes to Michigan, they have a lot of wrestlers that I've met. And Motor City Comic Con has a lot. I'm trying to think, I got some. I met Trish Stratus, Devon, Kevin Nash, X-Pac, Matt Hardy, Mick Foley. Met a good amount.
So the reason I asked that is because, you mentioned about one of the things that I think a lot of people dislike about being a wrestling fan is the IWC and just, how people complain and say ridiculous things online all the time, make crazy accusations, whatever. So that's like one of my least favorite things. Like, but I love like people, that are wrestling fans like yourself that, where we can have, a fun conversation without any kind of arguing or anything like that. Cause there's a lot of that online. And, when I went to my first ever wrestling convention, which was WrestleCon, I was excited, but I was also dreading it at the same time, man, because I was excited because, I wanted to meet all these different wrestlers that I've been a fan of for years.
And scared because no one was going to wear deodorant at the convention?
Not just that, but I was just dreading because I was like, oh God, I'm gonna be around all these wrestling fans that are probably like the ones that say stupid shit online that I can't stand. But man, no, it's complete opposite of that. Like when I went to that wrestling convention, like everybody was super cool. Every like fan that I talked to, it was like one of the funnest things I've ever been a part of. And I've went to a few of them now, and I've never had like that issue, with anyone that I've talked to at those shows. Unlike what you'd experience online. But I think a lot of people that say stupid shit and very controversial shit online probably never even leave their house anyway. So
Yeah, probably just looking for some kind of reaction, just trolling. I mean,
mhm.
I'm
But
on both sides of it. Like I'm a firm believer as a wrestler that like, you pay your ticket, you can say whatever you want. I don't really give a shit,
yeah,
But
I've
I
always
don't
felt
like
the
I don't
same.
like pretentious fans. Like I've met some people that are fans of wrestling, knowing I'm a wrestler, and they start talking to me about like how to book this or that, and it's like, bro, I don't even book shows. I just I just wrestle. Like, you know,
Have you ever had anyone like someone just come to you that's not a wrestler and just try to like critique your work as a wrestler?
oh yeah, I got in trouble one time years ago where there was a photographer we had, and he only posted photos of like certain people, like his favorites, and he was taking photos the whole show, like paid photographer. And I, in my younger days in the business, I was known to not bite my tongue, and I just said like, hey, why don't you post the photos of the other people? And one of the fans commented on it, he says, well, maybe if you put more effort in the ring, you'll get your photos posted.
Oh wow.
And I told him to go fuck himself. And the boss got really mad at me. And I'm like, well, you know, because I mean, I'm a character worker for one, but I know I'm a good hand. I know I'm a pretty good wrestler, but like I'm a heel. Like I it's about the heat and everything. It's not like I'm just in there just hitting leg drops and body slams. Like we do some cool shit, but it's like got to know when to hold them, when to fold them, and stuff like that. I mean, I've gotten some decent trouble in wrestling. I mean, I was for my home company for years. I was the reason we weren't allowed to antagonize fans anymore because the fan called me a pussy and said something about my mom and wanted to
Oh
fight.
wow.
And I said, "Well, come on, get in the ring, man." I said, "If you slide on through, I'm going to stomp on you. You come on the ropes, I'm going to body check you off." And they're like, "Oh, you can't do that no more." And this was I get it. They didn't want to lose the building and stuff. Wrestling's complicated in that way. Or they had us go out there to build up this big feud one time too, and they were like, "Get heat," and we almost caused a riot because just like I'm sitting there giving my last line, I'm like calling the match after we've been fighting and everyone's trying to break us up and the guys aren't holding us apart. So it's like, I'm going to go after them again. And I remember standing there cutting the promo. Well, this show, we wanted this match. And then one of my good friends, who was one of my rivals in the feud, he's just standing there, not even paying attention. So I just grabbed the microphone, went boom, and just the shit went forever. And like the fans were all, I guess, upset. And I mean, we might have taken that one too far, but hey,
But man, I think that's one of the most entertaining things about going to a live wrestling show is like, because that's you as a heel specifically. That's what your job is, to get these fans riled up and get them going and making some noise. So, I mean, but I get what you're saying. Now there are certain things that maybe you take like regret and you're like, oh, well, maybe I took that one a little bit too far.
well, as a heel too, like everybody, there's only one MJF. Everybody wants to be MJF. Like I heard
Right.
defending Ricochet with that MS line, and they're like, "Well, she shouldn't have said nothing." I go, "Come on, man, come on," because there's good heat and there's bad heat. So like if you went up to the crowd and you're like a guy who's in shape, and you walk up to a fan, and you say, "What are you looking at, you fat piece of shit?" This might be a guy that's overweight and he's self-conscious to leave the house and he's going, I'm gonna go check out this wrestling show, and he's out there, haha, you suck, and then you go in his face and you say it, and he might say, maybe he's right. I am a fat piece of shit. I should go home. Now me, I'm a big guy. So if I go to you and you're about the same size as me, or maybe a little smaller, but a husky guy, and I say, hey, what are you looking at, fat ass? They'll look at me and go, ha, you're fatter than me. I'm baiting them
Yeah.
into it at that point. Or you can tell a fan all day they're ugly, and they'll look at you and go, not as ugly as you. It's like you don't want to say stuff that's too far. Like if you make little kids cry in the crowd, it's like, do you think their parents are really going to want to bring them back? You want them to leave happy about it, and that way they tell their friend at school, and then maybe like both friends come, and then their parents have to come, and then you sold 3 more tickets.
Yeah, and I think the fun, aspect of wrestling, because a lot of fans who are kind of in tune with it, they get it. They know what kind of expect. If they come and say stuff to a heel, the heel is going to say stuff back to them, and that's all part of the fun. But I feel like the stuff that Ricochet said was a little bit more, on a personal level, because it had to do with like their medical condition, and I'm surprised that guy even still has a job, but he was on Dynamite last night, so
And he's been shown to like get really upset by certain tweets. So like,
yeah, he
so
has.
it's like you don't want to just, you want to take the guy's word for it, saying like, "Oh, I just was in character and I took it too far." I go, "Yeah, but your track history." It's like if you got caught stealing from a store 2 times and they caught you again, you think they're going to believe you when you say, "Oh, I didn't know I put that in my pocket." Like, no.
Yeah, it's hard to tell, man, because like I get he's a heel and he's saying stuff to probably try, get himself attention and heat and all that, and that's his job. But some of the things that he has said like online, I can't really decipher if it's just like him being a prick, or he's just being the character. You know what I mean?
Because you could say you don't get it, but he's been wrestling for like 20 years. I
Yeah.
think the big problem is these days too many heels want to be badasses. It's like if you want to be a badass, go do MMA. If you want to be cheered and people think you're cool, be a babyface.
Hmm.
If you want to be a heel, like you got to be. I was taught you got to be willing to show your ass. You got to be able to embarrass yourself. That's the whole idea. You got a heel valet. Like I'm not gonna get in this match until I get a kiss on my cheek and get the kiss and turn the
Right.
360 and turn around, pow. Because once you get your heat, once you're in the heat, then you could be as vicious as you want. And if you got embarrassed to begin with, it's like that's more of a reason for the heel to be more vicious.
Yeah, exactly, man. And so let's get a little bit more, deeper into that. So, how did you get into wrestling as a professional wrestler?
All right. So I was really deep into wrestling through the Attitude Era, early 2000s. I stopped watching right around the Ruthless Aggression era. So
Mhm.
when I was doing backyard wrestling with my friends, once a lot of them got out of high school, they all went to pro wrestling school. When I kind of dropped out of it, I was like playing in bands and I was like a sponsored skateboarder and all this type of stuff.
Oh
I
yeah.
had 6, 7, 8, even 9 friends that all went to wrestling school and got trained. My trainer, Chase Barnett, Uncle Chase, and Zane Silva are the two that helped create Beyond Wrestling. They're known as Team Beyond. And one of my best friends ever, Nick Baker, known as Nick Phoenix back in the day.
Mhm.
We had Will Vendetta, John Campbell, Benjamin Brody, all these guys, Kick-Ass Corey, uh, Confetti, Barry Slammers, they all went to wrestling school. And then as time would go by, like in my early 20s, like I'd be at like a party or something. And this before like you even could like open YouTube on your phone, someone would have a computer and you have a little buzz on, you'd be like, search their highlights, like, look, these are my friends I used to wrestle with and everything. And then time went by, and because I didn't make my debut till I was 27 years old. So before that, a roommate of mine that I grew up with as well, we were just like, we got cable before streaming, and we started watching Monday Night Raw and started getting really back into wrestling and watching it. And then my trainer, Uncle Chase Barnett, he got a hold of a wrestling ring. It was some backyard guys who had a ring, and he was going to run some training for these guys, which I know that don't sound like a real training school and everything, but Uncle Chase is a legit guy and everything. He wrestled in Chikara and everything, but
Chikara?
or he
Oh
wrestled
wow.
no, he wrestled in Dragon Gate USA and all that
Oh
shit.
wow.
They were kind of like a hybrid style. He runs a gimmick now, Uncle Chase, where he's like wrestles the style of like the mid early 2000s. He's an old man with the cane and all that. But anyways,
Oh wow.
so he hits me up and says, "You want to come to training?" He's going to train all these guys. And I pretty much thought like, okay, I can get in the ring and have a workout. I can say I got in the ring, and I could see some of my old friends. I got in the ring. We did training. I remember he had us walking laps around the ring and everything. Like, and then okay, we're going to do this spot. He explains it. Who's first? Rolling. I'm like terrified. I don't want to get in first because I'll tell you something about pro wrestling. In that ring, when you bump, if you don't have adrenaline, it sucks. Like those bumps and everything. And I remember one spot in particular, we're doing belly to back suplexes, like back, belly to back suplex.
Yeah.
and I nailed my head so hard on the mat. And I'll never forget. Chase looks at me. He's like, "All right, get up, another." And he must have seen my eyes going. He goes, "Get out and walk around the ring." So we get through training and everything. I get in the car, riding with my buddy Nick Baker, my best friend, one half of the Cream Street Mafia. And I'm just like, "That was terrible, this or that. I can't believe this, da 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 da." And he goes, "I assume you're never coming back to wrestling training again?" And I was like, "Oh no, I'll be back. I'll be back." I'm just like, and I can't explain what it was. It was like a drug addiction or something, like you just had to have it. I was like, I don't know why I have to go back and do this. And then we started running more drills, and that's where I met some of my best friends I've ever had in my life. The Den, the Mighty Bojack, Caesar Asher, which Caesar Asher just wrestled Rhino in Detroit 2 weeks ago, which was awesome. And my buddy Backwoods Bam, we were doing training drills, going through everything, started doing training matches, and then it kind of got to like a couple local companies show up, help set up the ring, and I hit up the owner of IWE, John Campbell, and see if he needed any help, and they needed a last minute guy, and I was blessed enough for him to give me an opportunity. I look like shit, man. I'm wearing a black and red singlet off Amazon, kick pads. I don't kick. I'm no character, no nothing, and we had a 5 to 7 minute match and at a TV studio, which I definitely didn't appreciate all the times I wrestled in a TV studio. Because back in the day, you're like, oh, it's only 20, 30 people in here, but it's pretty cool. But anyways, he gave me the opportunity with IWE, and it just became an adrenaline rush for me, and just the camaraderie, being able to be in a locker room with all the boys, like just all around a good time. And I never really looked back. I never took a break from wrestling in 10 years and never just kept going.
That's awesome, dude, and I'm real proud of you for doing that,
Well,
man.
thank you,
Just
man.
keep going, man. And that's all. That's what I told my other friend that was on here. It's a wrestler as well. Evil Nate. He's been doing it for, I guess, close to 20 years now, if not already 20 years. And man, like he's doing a lot of really cool stuff right now. And like, I've been seeing some of your stuff too. Like, so you work with Super Shogun Wrestling quite a bit, right?
Yep.
So can you tell us about Super Shogun Wrestling?
So it is a company ran out of West Branch, Michigan at the Dragon's Den Lair, which is a section inside the mall. It is run by two good friends of mine, Mad Dog Warren and Benjamin Brody. It's a company they came up with about 4 years ago. They ran like this big outdoor show, and then when they finally got the facility, they started running it full time. Which, fun fact, in the home venue, I was the first person to come out in the first match. So I'm the Tito Santana of Shogun. But pretty much they wanted to run like a Japanese style company, which was pretty cool. And I didn't know where I fit in because I am about as much main event or Memphis style as you can get. And then when I came in, my character was pretty much like an old school 80s villain. I wanted to tear down the venue and build condos and all this stuff. And I was the opposite of Japanese wrestling and everything, but it's kind of matured into more of an all-around indie. And there's a lot of really talented guys there. There's a lot of guys that work for OVW that are there, a lot of 20-year veterans. And it's a really nice mix of these veterans that have been working so long and getting TV time, and a lot of the trainees, and then everything in between. So, and I would say if anybody wants to check that out, look up Super Shogun Wrestling on YouTube, because I would say this company has one of the best like productions out of any company in Michigan or Midwest or wherever. Like,
It's a super cool name, man, too. Like I love not just Japanese wrestling, but Japanese culture and the whole Shogun stuff. Like I even when I was a kid, I used to watch this like anime called Shogun Warriors. So when I first started talking to you and I seen you were part of this wrestling company called Super Shogun Wrestling, I was like, that's such a badass fucking name, dude. And speaking of names, so how did you come up with the name Bad News Cruz?
well, I was Dioro Cruz when I first started the One of Gold, and Roberto Cruz, the full name. And it was when I got into Super Shogun Wrestling, I kind of want to just have a bit of a turn in my character. And, I was trying to come up with something like the last real villain, like, I want to be like the actual bad guy. I am the villain and everything. And I might have been watching the Halloween movie with him in there or something. I don't know. It just rhymed. Bad News Barrett, Bad News Cruz, and just kind of flowed pretty well. I just, yeah, I mean, it kind of just come up with it on a whim, really. And, it started with like that as my moniker, but now I just kind of tell people cut out the first name and just do Bad News Cruz because, I mean, if you're a fan of like Kevin Owens or anything, like I've been babyface before 2 different times, which fun, little tip to anyone out there wrestling. You don't want to switch too many times. Don't want to pull a Big Show because it's hard to come back when you turn heel. But just my character is Bad News Cruz, like just the worst things you could ever imagine. I'm a terrible human being. I try to think of like every deplorable thing, every character trait of a person you would hate. I mean, in character, Bad News Cruz is in jail right now. So,
Was there any like wrestlers in particular that you took inspiration from for the character?
well, originally when I first started wrestling, one of my all-time favorites, Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, was a huge influence for me. Uh, I do a lot of his moves. Like people tell me I punch just like him, just like the Rock and Razor. It's just the way I throw my punches. I do the fallaway slam. I started doing the Razor's Edge out of tribute after he passed away. Yeah, fallaway slams like my signature move, and that's kind of where I started with it. And then, I mean, getting into like IRS and Rick Martel and those guys earlier, like I was talking about, just Repo Man, even just.
I think Rick Martel is someone that people, especially fans of the new generation nowadays, they don't talk about him enough. Like I feel like
Former
he's
AWA heavyweight champion.
yeah, and then like he came in, he had a short run in WCW during the Monday Night Wars era.
He broke his
And,
leg in that match, right?
yeah, because he had
TV
an
title reign
awesome
was real
yeah.
good.
He came in, he like almost immediately won the TV title, had that feud with Booker T. I mean, great match. Actually, when I talked to Booker T, like that was like one of the things that I brought up was, I was like, hey, man, you had an awesome matches with Rick Martel in WCW. He's like, oh my God, nobody ever talks about those. He's like, but Booker would go on to say like he loved like his favorite matches he had were with Canadian guys like Rick Martel and Benoit and guys like that. So,
I'd say Mr. Perfect too is a pretty big influence of mine.
oh, that's so yeah.
Like
Kurt Hennig,
the best character work like ever that I love is like the Rumble that Flair won, I think 92.
mm-hmm.
Just like Mr. Perfect, Bobby Heenan, and Flair backstage. Just like how they're all acting.
Oh yeah,
Just like there's improv when you see in the background, just Heenan and Perfect like high fiving the tracksuit. Like that's a big thing for me, rocking the tracksuit and shit too.
hell yeah, man.
I don't know. I just try to be like a really shitty person. We had this guy that used to be a fan. I've been wrestling for 10 years, and he probably come in about a year after I broke in, and he come to every show at my home promotion, every show. And a lot of the wrestlers, you go to a mutual friend, or you see when these fans add you like a friend request on Facebook, and I go mutual friends, and it's like all the boys. And I'm like, I get it, but like, I watched a heel break a babyface's leg, kayfabe, and then take photos with the fans at intermission. Now they can say, well, he's not that bad. It's all fake. This guy in particular, I never spoke to him on a personal level. I never requested his Facebook things requests. He gave me so much shit. I gave so much shit back. I always fucked with him. And then last year, not even maybe a year, at Super Shogun Wrestling, RD Stone, they brought him in as a referee in training, and he started training, and I talked to him. I was like, "What's up, man?" And he like looked at me like, oh, sideways. And I said, "So you're reffing now, huh?" I said, "Oh, yeah." And I gave him like some advice real quick. I said, "Welcome to the inside." And I like pat him and like walked away. And then we joke about it now. I'm like, I didn't speak to you for 9 years, and you thought I was the biggest piece of shit you've ever known. Like this guy is a complete asshole in real life. It's like, catch me when I'm going to the car, and hey, Cruz, what's up? And I'm like, damn, this guy really is a prick. And I'm like, no, man, like I can't. I'm no Shawn Michaels. I need the heat. Like,
Right.
I want you to really not like me. Like, if I do something, I want you to believe. I want you to be confused. Like, is that really him or is that not him? I mean,
that kind of goes back to what we were talking about with Ricochet too, like the stuff he says online. Like you don't know if that's really him or if that's just he's playing the character. But you bring up a good point there though. Like that's really how heels in wrestling should be. Like just keep it kayfabe, man. Like make these people not like you even more and get you even more heat as a character. I mean, just like I said, there's certain like scenarios that you should not go into for sure. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and to throw on that, like, I definitely don't know everything about wrestling. I'm just a fan myself. Like, it was kind of like I was not weird for me to come into this interview, but like as a build as a wrestler, I was like, I don't want to come off like pretentious, like, because I don't know everything. If I did, I'd be the champion. I'd beat Cody at Mania and everything. But just little tricks that I've learned along the way
Mhm.
are kind of old school stuff, and they still work. Like for the longest time, Backwoods Band was my biggest rival of all time, and we go to walk out to the parking lot together because we always rode together. And I'd say, hey, go out there. I'll count the 30 Mississippi and hide behind this dumpster, and then I'll walk the other way around and meet you outside. And it was kind of funny after he retired. It was like that was the first time we walked together outside, and it's like, and then when it comes like the draw too, like as a villain and everything, the leg break thing I said, the guy breaking the babyface's leg. If he could have kept that heat, you could have had 50 more people word of mouth in advertisement and highlights show up. And at that point, the goal, in my opinion, as a heel, is you want the fans not to show up to see the top babyface,
Right.
not to see Hogan. They'd rather see they're more coming to see Slaughter get his ass kicked. And when you can get in
Right.
that realm of like, then you can get in the spot where you're like, oh, I can face the lowest baby face in the card and give him some hope. Because not every match should be 50-50 either. Like I can do 80-20 and whoop his ass the whole time, but that little bit where he's getting some, it's
Hmm.
gonna bring him up a little bit and get some fanfare between them.
So do you think that where you guys did that angle where he broke the babyface's leg, do you think it was not a good idea for him to do meet and greets at the intermission?
Yeah, because that was all like for his ego. You know what I mean? Like, don't
Right.
get me wrong. I would have loved to add every fan on my Facebook and have everybody kissing my ass, telling me how great I am and everything. But like,
Do you think the angle would have worked better if he'd done without that? Because it would make
oh
it
yeah,
get more heat.
oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I think so. Yeah, as well. So I think we kind of covered this a little bit earlier, but I want to ask, what is the toughest thing about training to be a wrestler?
Uh, Probably like when you start for one, just like how hard it is to like get through everything. But I'd say just like the not that it's hard, but just the average working out and dieting just to stay consistent. You know what I mean? Like just trying to look leaned out for a show and everything, the tan and all that stuff. I mean, hardest thing to train in pro wrestling in general is just the basics. I've seen so many people drop like flies and everything, and it's just not for everybody either. You know what I mean? And
Do you have
it's
like
hard to answer because I enjoy it all. I love it. Like you know,
do you have like a routine, like a general routine that you do before every wrestling show?
mm, well, I usually ride on my exercise bike in the basement an hour, 5 days a week, and just try to stick to a diet. But like on the road, uh, routine wise, just nothing crazy. Just it's all leisure. Just meet up with the homies. We all carpool, ride up, talk shit, talk about our matches. You know what the worst part about wrestling is when you come to a show, you have to shake everyone's hand, which I don't
Yeah,
mind, but it's like 50 people. If you have
yeah, it's
any bit of social anxiety,
it's good rapport.
maybe the hard part too in wrestling is the wait all day for a show. Like I'll tell you what, if you're not last, you want to be first. Get that crowd while they're hot. But yeah, I mean, I don't really have any routine. I ride with the same guys I've rode with for years. We actually nicknamed ourselves the Freebirds back in the day. We're the Michigan Freebirds, and then we just called ourselves the Freebirds. Which we yeah.
um,
So part of the routine is we do listen to Freebird once on the way up and once on the way back every single time, every trip, no matter what.
That's funny because like my nephew is he's 12 years old, and he's he's just here recently getting into listening to Leonard Skinner, and he's been listening to Freebird like every time he comes here to the house. I'm like, you really like that song, huh? But I guess what I wanted to ask next, man, was is there anyone that you hope to work with that you haven't got to yet?
Uh, I mean, no one in particular, really. I mean, after 10 years in this, I mean, there's certain guys in the indies I wouldn't mind wrestling in certain circumstances and everything. But I mean, I always wanted to wrestle like Dick Justice or like a Danhausen or like have a comedy match
Yeah.
or something like that. I mean, Colt Cabana would have been pretty fun back in the day, but I mean, really, it's more just goals at this point. Like Super Shogun Wrestling, I want to get to those tag titles. And me and my tag partner, Pete Daddy Dollar, one half of the Midnight Vice, and it's always want to get that heavyweight title and everything. Want to get back to tagging with Nick Baker with the Cream Street Mafia. I mean, I'm 37 now, so like I could wrestle till I'm 50, 55 for all I know, but
Mhm.
trying to get some of this bucket list stuff in, you know.
Um, so I know you kind of talked a little bit about your goals within Super Shogun Wrestling. Do you have any like overall like long term goals for your career?
I really want. I was a heavyweight champion once, but I really want to have like a run as the heavyweight champion that's like impactful. I'm a big Ric Flair fan when he was the champion.
Mhm.
That's something I want, especially at IWE company I started at. Like, I really want that title. Like, a lot of my really good friends won the title,
Mhm.
and I kind of became more of a tag wrestler. Uh, People say we're, I mean, the Cream Street Mafia were the best tag team of all time, but just because that's the place I started at, a little chip on my shoulder, I'm like, I want to run with that belt and everything. And yeah, you know, I wouldn't, I just don't want to be pigeonholed as like a good hand that's like got a good character. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I mean, you from what I understand, like you just basically just want to be guy establish yourself so much to where you will be remembered. Because I know there's a lot of guys like that for me that that were just in the independence their whole career. I'm not sure if you're familiar with a guy named Chance Profit. Um,
Mm-mm.
but he's a guy like I know he had I think it was a practice match or something like that for TNA years ago. But like he wrestles outside, in Kentucky, Ohio, West Virginia, that whole area that Eastern United States, and like he just he's super impressive. Wrestler. He has a really cool gimmick. He has this super sick face paint deal that he does, and but even though he's just an independent wrestling guy, that's somebody that I'll always remember just because he really stood out to me. Is that something like you're looking to accomplish as well?
To be remembered.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you know, I mean, definitely. Because I've had some friends retire recently, and I'm kind of like a little old school where I feel like if I was the day I retire, I don't think I'm gonna say I'm gonna. I'm just gonna have a match and that'll be it.
All
But
right.
I would like to be remembered as one of the best villains, one of the best heels. I think that's kind of why I want like that top guy run and everything, because I for years I've always been a good hand and a good character, and even as like a tag wrestler, we'd have the main event would be a tag match, and that's awesome. And then there was times where like certain times it's like break glass, throw Cruz in there, and that's a main event. And it's like, well, just let's rock and roll with it. You know what I mean? And I think I've done a really good job of being memorable over the years because I always try to look at it this way: we're all wrestling fans, but sometimes, especially at an independent level, someone might drag a friend with them, bring their girlfriend with them.
Hmm.
Maybe one of the kids that comes don't know wrestling. And I try to cater to the fans that don't like wrestling. So in that way, like you could have a 5-star match and all the smart fans are like, oh my God, that one match, da, da, da. But I look at it like I'm coming to the ring and a fan could say, hey, well, this is Bad News Cruz. Watch, I bet if you call him an asshole, he'll stop and he'll get into it with you and da da da. And get into it with them, and I might
That's
do a little
smart.
call back to them and everything, and then you know, then when on the way home, like, oh, that match was great, but then the non-wrestling fan can say, yeah, but that Cruz guy, like, da da da, like
That's yeah. You make an excellent point there, man. Like that should be the goal, I think, for all wrestlers is try to find that one person who's not real. It's just there, because they're tagging along and they don't come off as a wrestling fan. You want it because I think that's the goal. Is to try to get as many more people that wouldn't typically be wrestling fans to be a wrestling fan. I love that, man.
I think I might have asked about this like earlier, and I might have a better answer to it. But like, what I like about being a wrestler, I
Hmm.
would say now that I think about it, like as a heel, like there's little things. I remember one time I was in this battle royal, this Royal Rumble style match, and I go out to the ring, and I'm like, I ain't getting in here, and I handcuff myself to the turnbuckle on the outside. I can't get thrown out if I can't get thrown in. And then a couple people later, the guy comes out as like 6'8", like 350, a giant man. And then I
Hmm.
go, oh, shit. And I go to grab the key. And the whole time I'm heckling like a little kid near the front row. There's a spot I did. And then I go to grab the key to uncuff myself. And I go, oh, and I drop it. And it falls right out of, I can't get to it. And I say, hey, kid, hand me the key. Hand me the key. Come on. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Come on. I'm a good guy. Hand me the key. And it's like, nope, not going to do it. Not going to do it.
Awesome.
And the heel comes around. He sees me. Oh, I go, no, please, no. Chops the life out of me. Fake cuff, rips the cuff, throws me in, and then I proceed to get my ass kicked and everything.
Was that something that you did within Super Shogun Wrestling, or was that a different?
No, this was way back in the day when I first started. But even then, it's like as a heel, there's a big responsibility. Like the comeback, and I don't mean to tear back the curtain, but they have Unreal on Netflix, so I'm not really saying too much. But it's a big responsibility to know like when your babyface needs some wind and when they're ready to rock and roll. Like, all right,
Mhm.
let's come back. And when you work the crowd and get certain people in your hand, and the babyface starts to come back, and maybe you hit a big double down, maybe hit like a big superplex or something, a big counter. And when you're the heel and you hit and you're blown up a little bit, sweating, and it's towards the end of the match, you're about to wrap it up, and you're laying there and your eyes are shut and you're breathing heavy, and you could just hear people stomping and yelling, doing whatever they're doing. And you say, fucking got you guys. Got you, because you think you're cheering for the babyface. You think you are. He was fighting back the whole time, and you guys believe in him. So yes, you are, but I'm in control of when he comes back and this that. So when he really gets me down and we're both down, it's kind of like a weird feeling. Not like I'm not a guy who like wants to have control in situations. I'm pretty like laid back. But in that
Mhm.
moment when you're laying there and you feel it, and it's like, oh yeah, we're cooking. And
Get your adrenaline going.
oh yeah,
So I mean, and you've talked about a lot of positive aspects of being a wrestler. Um, what's your least favorite thing about being a wrestler, though?
very long car rides. Like we do 3 hours up, 3 hours back for
Hmm.
Shogun, but I used to go travel down to like southern Ohio and real close to Kentucky, and it's like 4 or 5 hours back, stuffed car and everything. And also, there's a lot of really good people in wrestling, but there's a lot of shitty people in wrestling. Like, why are there so many like groomers and pedos and stuff in wrestling? You know what I mean?
That's
You deal with some
everywhere
shitty
though
people.
nowadays. Seems like.
That might be the worst, because there's some times where it's like wrestlers were like, I have to see you at shows and I don't like you. I mean, I like most everyone, but there's a lot of bad people in wrestling too. And it's like, if this was just everyday life, I could just block you online, not have to mess with you. And I mean, egos and everything like that. And I mean, there's cliques and all that. Like our clique
Yeah,
is the most like laid back one. We're the BSK where we're at.
that's awesome. The BSK. Um, Yeah, so yeah, you mentioned like there's a lot of egos in wrestling. I think that's everywhere. Just not one particular area, but like where you're wrestling with, in that Michigan area, would you say there's a lot of egos that kind of run wild there, or not?
Uh, yeah. I mean, not everywhere, but the ones that stand out. There, I don't want to say too much But
Right. I
there's certain
understand.
places people were trained or certain companies that people work that think there's a
Mm.
hierarchy that they're better than everyone else. And
Yeah,
no,
I get that. I mean, just but like I said, I don't think that's just one area,
yeah,
of
you're
wrestling.
right.
I think that's everywhere. Just depends, on the person's personality and stuff, I guess. But um, so let's go back a little bit, to just the wrestling fan aspect of it. Do you have any like favorite or I'm sorry. Do you have any dream matches that you have ever thought about that you would love to see happen in wrestling?
The one that's always talked about is Owen Hart and Kurt Angle, which apparently they had that dark match
Mhm.
that actually happened. Maybe Shawn Michaels and Eddie. Uh,
Which that was supposed to happen, I think. Like, because I think they were talking about doing Shawn and Eddie at the next WrestleMania, before Eddie had passed away.
Taker and Sting, obviously.
Of course.
Um,
I know you said Bret Hart's your favorite of all time, right?
hmm
Is there anyone that you would love to see Bret have a match with?
uh, he never wrestled Angle either, did he?
No,
No.
I know that's like I think that's Kurt Angle's went on record saying that that's his biggest dream match is for him to wrestle Bret Hart.
Yeah, probably that. I mean, you could literally put Bret in there with anyone, and you know what's
Mm.
so good about Bret Hart? Like besides like everything, I think he sells better than Shawn Michaels. By the way, hot take. Um, but guys like that or Ric Flair had moves in their repertoire, how we say, that they took that other guys didn't give to them, like the chest in the corner
Mhm.
when you eat that buckle, or like Flair would always get thrown off the top rope. It's like I think
Right.
that's a really good sign of like a good wrestler and everything. And Bret, man, Bret Hart, I could go on and on about Bret Hart all day long.
Yeah,
Like,
same man. That's like my second favorite of all time.
you notice
Next to
his comeback is like never the same. It's just all his mechanical moves just switched up depending on where he's
yeah.
going.
I mean, he was. I mean, like that's why he is, one of the best of all time. Best there is, best there was,
I would have
best there
maybe
ever
liked
will
to.
be.
I would have maybe liked to see him and Scott Hall have a match later on because the '93 Rumble is an okay match, but they could
Mhm.
have done better than that.
I think they may have had a couple when Brett went to WCW as well. I can't really like think of any that stands out or anything, but it seems like they did have a couple matches. I think Brett only had that one match ever with Hogan, and that was on my birthday in 1998. September 28th, 1998 was the only time that Brett and Hogan had a match. And I'm pretty sure it was like a no contest. So there was, because I think Hogan, was just, he didn't want to put him over. So they just had to come up with a finish where it was like a no contest or something. And that was the only match they ever had, unfortunately.
It's such a bummer the whole Bret Hart deal. What would have been a really sweet match. I never thought about this till just now because I think like Vince versus Stone Cold at St. Valentine's Day Massacre in the cage match is like a very
Mhm.
underrated match.
Oh,
Can
yeah.
you imagine if Bret like came back after the screw job and had a match with Vince, like when they were both able to wrestle?
Yeah, because they
That
had
would have
that
been
match,
fucking
was it
sweet.
like WrestleMania 26 or whatever, but it
Something
was
like
basically
that.
just it was just like the entire Hart family versus Vince at that one,
Beating the
though.
shit out of him.
It was awful. But that would have been awesome. That would have been God, could you imagine, like, what that would have done for the wrestling business? I mean, I know the wrestling business was on fire already at that time, but, like, if they had brought Brett back, during in his prime, in Vince's prime, against one another, that would have been incredible. Um, but yeah, I mean, just there's so many, moments in wrestling. You woulda, coulda, should have done this, should have done that. Is there any like moments in wrestling that that they're like big moments in wrestling that stand out to you that you would have done differently?
Oh man. Uh I mean the finger poke of doom off the top of my head. Stone Cold's heel turn, the invasion angle, uh Yeah, those are the ones off the top of my head.
Yeah, that Stone Cold heel turn, the whole shaking hands with Vince and stuff at the end of 17, that wasn't needed, man. But even though like I do have a soft spot for that whole invasion angle and like the stuff that Stone Cold was doing because we got to see this kind of comedic side of Stone Cold during all that.
When he was
So
repeating all the stuff Vince was saying before the Survivor
yes,
Series,
and
that
like
was so
playing the
funny.
guitar and all that stuff, and just I love that side of Stone Cold. A lot of people like say, "Oh, that was awful" or whatever, but I absolutely loved that.
So
You know,
one of US, like what I like about wrestling, and I mentioned earlier, like the camaraderie, just being with the boys and everything. That's so fun behind the scenes. And speaking of like Austin and all that, my buddy, one of my best friends, the Mighty Bojack,
mm-hmm.
his finishing moves the Bojack Stunner, and he hits like a really good stunner, and he's been hitting it for years. So like he did this video, they recorded him after the show, and he grabbed the mic and he says, "Who wants to see me get in the ring? Get this jackass." What? And he's doing Stone Cold impression, and like it got viral on TikTok. I don't know shit about TikTok, but it was so fun that
Yeah.
day because there's one guy in the ring, and he was like, "Who wants to see me kick his ass?" And then the guy that was running the audio was still like set up, and one guy come up and be like, "Play Shane's music," and then the guy walk out. Somebody came out as The Rock, somebody come out as Shane, and he just kept stunnering everybody. And I ran up and like, "Play Vince's music, play Vince's music." And I run back through the entrance, and I come out and do the Vince McMahon thing, and everyone's like, "Blow your quads, blow your quads," roll in the ring and imitate the blown quads, then get up and sell around and take a Stone Cold Stunner, and just all the boys, all the girls just cracking up and like jolly good time.
See, I love that shit, man. Like I love comedy in wrestling. I think it fits very well, from time to time. But even like if you look at you know comedy based wrestling promotions like Chikara. We mentioned Chikara earlier. And then there's one right now that's kind of reminds you a lot of how Chikara was. It's called Mystery Wrestling.
Yeah,
And
through Evil Uno and
Evil Uno does all that stuff. And I follow that regularly, man, because
Psycho
I
Mike.
love yeah, I love it, dude. It's so funny to me. Like, but
Now
a lot of people hate that shit, but whatever.
there's a company in Canada, Super Kicked Wrestling, where he came from, Psycho Mike, and he's got some pretty funny matches in there. One where he wrestles the Invisible Man, and there's one where there's a clip online where he's only working the hard cam. He's like king of hard cam style. Like everything he does is just
Oh
turn.
yeah, yeah. That's how I started watching him. Was like all the hard cam stuff that he does, and that's funny. You mentioned that he wrestled the Invisible Man. I'm
The
sure.
Sandman. It's about to
I'm,
wrestle the Invisible Man.
I'm sure that they probably got that inspiration. Because have you ever seen Cheech and Chong Still Smoking?
You know it. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
So there's that segment in there where Cheech and Chong they wrestled the Invisible Man. So so that's awesome. But yeah, I think comedy is amazing.
I got
In
my
wrestling.
house slippers right next to me.
Hell, that's awesome. I love Cheech and Chong stuff, man. Like, and that's a big thing. Like, me and my wife, when we first got together, like she grew up watching Cheech and Chong and stuff with her dad, and so we collect stuff from Cheech and Chong. That's just not something a lot of people know about me, but I collect a lot of Cheech and Chong stuff.
Oh,
So,
right on. Hell yeah.
but so when it comes to your favorites of all time, man, not necessarily who you think is the greatest of all time, but just your four personal favorites. Who's on that Mount Rushmore for you?
Bret Hart, Scott Hall, Stone Cold. I'd have to throw up there. Probably Hogan.
Yeah, because that's the guy that got you into it all, man.
Mm-hmm.
You have to throw him on there. So what do you do to narrow it down just to those four? What about all those guys really? I understand the Hogan part of it, the Bret part of it, but just all of them together, all four as a whole. What do that really? How do you narrow that down for yourself?
Well, Bret Hart and Scott Hall are kind of similar in the sense that how much I liked them as a kid. Like I thought Bret Hart was like a hero to mine, and Scott Hall Razor Ramon was just cool, and I like their work in ring. I model like a lot of my moves and stuff I do are after those two guys, and they just really left an impact on me. And both smart guys in the business. Then Hogan, for reasons I mentioned earlier, it's just
Mhm.
hard not to throw him in the top when he impacted you that much. And I just feel I'd be crazy not to throw Stone Cold up there. Like, changed everyone's life in the Attitude Era. He's the best. I literally threw on some wrestling while I was getting ready, the WWE Vault, and it was Taker versus Stone Cold, I think right after SummerSlam when Stone Cold won the belt back. And it's like, Stone Cold fucking rules. Like, the fact he changes his whole style up from technical after the broken neck and like all the segments and everything, just I guess more or less what I'm getting at is just the way they made me feel.
Yeah, man. Like, and I definitely get that. Especially the stuff with Stone Cold. Like, and I feel bad because like whenever I do like my Mount Rushmore, my personal favorites, it's Sting, Bret Hart, Dusty Rhodes, and Roddy Piper. And I always feel bad because like Stone Cold really needs to be on there too. Like if I did like a fifth guy on the Mount Rushmore, for me it would be Stone Cold
Is he the
because like
fifth guy? You
because
ever
like
you ever see a WCW show live?
no man, I never got to.
I went to two. I seen Sting twice. One of the times at Joe Louis Arena, no, the Palace of Auburn Hills. He descended from the rafters live and fought the whole
Holy
NWO.
shit, dude! I would
Here,
if I was a kid seeing that, I would lose my mind.
oh, it was great, man. I remember like the guys sitting in front of us or behind us were like NWO fans, and they were like having fun with me. Like, no, what if Sting joins the NWO? Because it was that show, I think, like where he might join. And here's a fun fact about me: I love the Outsiders.
Mhm.
NWO is cool. I'll wear a Wolfpack shirt. I have a Wolfpack shirt. I've never worn any article of clothing of NWO black and white in my life. Never. I never will.
Wow, really?
Because when I was a little kid, it meant so much to me. They said NWO for life. And I believed in Sting so much.
Same here, man.
I was like,
Like, same,
and it'd be cool to wear an NWO shirt now, but it's like it almost is a gag at this point. I'm like, I refuse. Because
dude.
if I put black and white on, I'm NWO for life. Like I remember Luger beating Hogan with the torture rack. I remember Goldberg beating Hogan in the Georgia Dome. Like I was all, DDP with such a cool diamond cutter when he shakes Hall's hand and pulls him in. And
Oh yeah, I love
like I
that one.
just even to this day, like if I go to a wrestling show, I'll cheer the baby faces and boo the heels because it's like I don't want to be that guy. Like go bad guy. Like let's have fun, man. It's wrestling.
Yeah, and that's exactly how I was when I was a kid. Like I hated the NWO. I hated all the heels because I was, I've talked about this several times, but like I just thought it was real, man. Like I thought these guys really hated each other. I thought they were really trying to beat each other up there for the longest time as a kid, and then like just being such a huge fan of Sting, I was like, I can't like the NWO. I mean, so I felt weird like in '98 when the Wolfpack, the
Yeah.
Red Pack, and Sting joins that. I didn't really know how to feel at the time. I was like, Sting's not supposed to be in the NWO.
You remember the first time Sting talked after all that?
Oh, at the night after
You've
Starcade, yeah,
got no guts. You remember that?
yeah.
He told Hogan that. Oh, so
But he said
cool.
to JJ Dillon, well, technically, the first time he talked was after he won at Starcade, but he's speaking in Spanish.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah, like they after he wins the belt at Starcade, and then all the WCW wrestlers come to the ring are celebrating with him, and then like there's a camera over in the corner, and he goes up to it and he just yells something in Spanish in the camera. I'm like, Sting hasn't talked in almost 2 years. The first thing he says is in Spanish.
That's
I
funny.
love that. I love that, man. But yeah, I did not want anything to do with the NWO when I was a kid because I was so loyal to Sting and but I'm like you though. As I got older and I kind of like learned more about how the business works and everything, and just the behind the scenes aspects and all that. I started looking at the NWO a little bit differently, and I was like, "Oh, these guys are pretty cool," honestly. And then just because I was not really a fan of Scott Hall or Nash or even like I wasn't even really a big fan when he was a face in WWF when I was a kid for some reason as Razor Ramon, and like my friends will be like, you don't like Razor Ramon? I was like, I don't know, something about but as I got older, like my taste changed and I really started to appreciate him. When I love Scott Hall. I got to meet him
Oh,
back in 2014 during that WrestleCon I was talking about earlier. Dude, one of the night, and I've seen people say online like, "Oh, well, I met Scott Hall. He's kind of a jerk." He wasn't to us. he was one of the nicest wrestlers I've ever met in my life, dude. He was so courteous to my wife because like we went up to meet him, and we were just going to like talk to him real quick and congratulate him for because he was getting inducted in the Hall of Fame that year too, and just get his autograph or whatever. But like, so he was like sitting down, and then there was a chair beside of him, and he like looks at my wife, and he goes, he's here, honey, come sit down beside me. He said, you've probably been walking around all day, and like, just super cool guy. I mean, and like, did you ever get to meet him before? Or,
I would say that's what makes him likable. He's just cool, really cool.
Yeah, he is, man.
And the biggest influence I have from him is when I work babyface. Just like my best friend taught me, like when you're a babyface, just do the same stuff as a heel, but just point it towards your opponent and let the fans join in, and then you're cool. But with that being said, I was going to meet him at Astronomicon the same day I met X-Pac and Kevin Nash, and like I think 2 weeks before the event, he died.
Mm.
You know what the most fucked up part about that was? They had all these photos, 8x10s, and I noticed there was no photos with Scott Hall and Kevin Nash's table. And he had those to be signed. He probably just didn't want them sat in front of him all day.
Yeah, I would imagine that's probably the case. It's like the first convention I ever went to, man, it was Cinema Wasteland. It was in Strongsville, Ohio. It's like right outside
I've heard all about that one, yeah.
So, yeah, the first one I ever went to, Lou Perryman, who played LG in Texas Chainsaw Part 2, was supposed to be in there. And then, I went to the show. I hadn't got on the internet in like a day or something. So, but I went there. One of the first people I met was John Dugan, who played Grandpa in the first Texas Chainsaw. And, after I got done meeting him and stuff, I was getting ready to walk away. And I asked him, I said, hey, where's Lou Perryman at? And he's like, you're kidding, right? And I was like, no, what are you talking about? He's like, he was murdered yesterday. And I was like, oh my God. And I had no idea. So like that, even though I had a great time at my first convention, it was kind of like tainted it a little bit because I just found out one of the people that I came there for to meet was murdered the day before. So
I had that with Tony Todd. Like I was looking forward to meeting him, and then my buddy I met up with, I go, you didn't hear? He says he didn't come in, he's sick. And then like right after, a month or two later, he died.
Yeah, apparently like he had been sick for a long. He wasn't public about it because
a lot of people like to hide it, which seems like the right move because too many people put stuff out there for attention, and I think if you were sick, you wouldn't want that type of attention. Like, remember me in my good days, you know what I mean?
It makes sense, and I know that Bruce Campbell here recently he put out a statement. That he has cancer now and he's having to cancel a lot of his like convention appearances and stuff, which really sucks. But I just, I think the most important thing is that he just, go through all that treatment and stuff that he needs to and just get himself better, man. Cause that's a guy I know if something ever happens to him, that's going to be an awful day for me because I'm such a huge I got my Evil Dead 2 shirt on, so like I'm a huge fan of Bruce Campbell and just really, really.
Wait, bro, I'm from Michigan, dude. If anyone out there wants to stalk me, just know Evil Dead Part 1 premiered at the Redford Theater. That's 15 minutes from my house where it premiered for the first time ever. That's and awesome. What's funny? I always take Halloween off. In this past year, like I was on second shift at the time, and like everyone took it off, and I was like, I don't mind, I'll work Halloween this year. And then that day, it was like, oh, we're playing Evil Dead 1 at the Redford Theater where it premiered on 13 millimeter or whatever. And I was like, motherfucker, man. I'd have been there with my shirt off, swinging it. Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, man, I love Evil Dead, and that's crazy because like Scarefest in Lexington this year they were putting together that whole Evil Dead reunion, like because Sam Raimi's going to be there. They even got Ellen Sandweiss out for the show. I mean, she's not done a show in like forever. I think she's kind of like semi-retired from conventions, but like, yeah, pretty much everyone's going to be there now, except Bruce because he had to cancel, unfortunately. But I think it's still going to be a fun time. I'm going to try to go this year, I guess.
Yeah. I went last year for the first time.
It was pretty fun. I didn't get to go. I didn't get to go last year, but there's really stupid reasons why I didn't get to. But I'm really hoping that I would that I get to go this year. I know that I am going to be going to Living Dead weekend in June.
Are they only doing one more?
I'm not at the mall. I think
I have to go to the mall.
Yeah, that's because this one coming up in June. They're having that huge Dawn of the Dead. Every guest there is going to be from Dawn of the Dead. Even like the obscure zombies and everything. It's so I know
I
they're
have
like
a, I
doing.
have a poster signed by what's her name, Galen Ross, and
Mhm. Played Fran. Yeah.
I have like four. I'm slipping a blank. Scott
Kim
Reiner, and anyways, we're
Kim
talking
Torrey.
wrestling. We're talking wrestling.
Right, man. Yeah, because we don't want this to be like a slippery slope. Because
Yeah, 'cause I
we
will.
start talking about horror, I'll
I was
go
getting
deep
there.
into it too, brother. But
Yeah. Maybe you come
but
on my channel sometimes, and we'll do a horror talk.
hell yeah, man, that would be a lot of fun, dude. Because that's another thing I can talk all day about.
Oh
Just
yeah.
like wrestling, I can talk horror all day. But man, I got one more question for you. But before I get into that, I just want to thank you again for coming, taking the time and come on the show. Just I really appreciate you, brother.
Oh, thank you, man. I'm flattered to be on here, man. I'm happy to talk about wrestling whenever. Hopefully, I didn't get too wild with my insights.
No, dude,
I
this
didn't
has
want to come
been
off like pretentious and lame, because like
no, man.
I'm
I'll
just a
be
regular
honest with
dude.
you. I'll be honest with you. This is one of the funnest interviews that I've done
Oh,
thus far.
thanks, man.
So I love this, man. But the last question I have for you, if someone watching wanted to be a wrestler one day, what is the best advice that you would give them?
Well, for one, just be ready to miss a lot of events, birthday parties, hangouts, graduations. I mean, it sounds cliche, but it's true. It's like I've been wrestling in some of the same cities for almost 10 years, and I don't know anything about the city because you go straight to the venue, do your shit, and leave. And I would just say, if it's something you're interested in, make sure you just go to a repetitive, a good school. Do your research. Make sure you get trained by the right people. Find out your trainer, who did he train, and make sure you're getting the right stuff. Because there's a lot of it's still a carny business, and they'll still rip you off. And you just got to be willing to sacrifice a lot of stuff. I know certain friends who are married and they're gone every weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So you got to be good with your relationship. You got to be mentally strong, and you got to be ready to get hurt. This isn't ballet; it's going to happen. You're going to get injured. You got to be prepared for all that. Just, I guess, make sure physically and mentally this is what you want to do.
Right.
Because once you get in, there's a reason wrestlers don't retire. It's going to get a hold of you, and you won't be able to leave, and you're going to hurt. You're going to be in pain. Is the risk of your relationships and your body worth it for what you do to entertain the fans? I think so, because I've had a lot of memories. I've had some of the best times of my life. I've made some of my best friends. Some of my friends, I've been in their weddings I met through wrestling. I've worked shows where we did charity work for the Children's Society, cancer, autism, all this stuff. And it's like, if there's, and that helped me when I thought maybe I would have had a void in my life at some points of like just everyday Groundhog's Day. It's like it gives me something. Wrestling kind of gave me something almost like martial arts in a weird way. It gave me discipline, to an extent. I'm known as one of the wilder wrestlers outside the ring, but I think just make sure it's what you want to do, because if you're going to be halfway in, you're going to get hurt, and this business is going to chew you up and spit you out. But if it's really what you like I said, find the right trainer, talk to the right people, be prepared to sacrifice, and be ready to have some fun, and tuck your chin.
Hell yeah, man. That's a great answer. That's a absolutely great answer. I love hearing that. But Ray, man, I want to say thanks again. Just appreciate you taking time to do the show. This has been a hell of a lot of fun, brother.
Definitely.
Is there anything else that you wanted to add, or say you have anything coming up on your channel, or maybe you have some shows you're wrestling at that you want to
Uh,
promote?
yeah, I'm actually the Super Shogun Dark is this Saturday. So that's at West Branch, Michigan, Dragon's Den. If you want to go to their website or go to go to the Facebook Super Shogun Wrestling, you'll find all the information there. If you want to subscribe to my channel, feel free. Killer Pizza videos. I'm going to be putting out a video this Sunday. I bought a bunch of old Guardi VHSs, so I'm going to show those off. And then I'm also going to be on Wrestling with Horror this Tuesday doing the 80s slashers tier list, and that's pretty much everything I got going on.
Okay, cool, man. So yeah, and like you said, so just follow his channel, and I have all of his links in the description of this video. So you go and follow his, his YouTube channel. I have his Instagram on here as well. I also have a link to the Super Shogun Wrestling website, so if you want to go
That's
and check that
awesome.
out as well. But so like I said, all those links are in the description of this video. So be sure to go and follow all of those at the end of this video. But sir, it has been a pleasure, and just on behalf of both myself and Ray, or Bad News Cruz, whichever you prefer, I want to thank everyone for watching the show. And I've got several other shows coming up, including one this Sunday with with the hardcore wrestling collector. His name is Don Packard. So, he's definitely going to be on this talking about a lot of his wrestling collection, I'm sure. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So be sure to check that out, and just everything else that I got coming up on the channel. So just stay tuned. And if you haven't already, be sure to like, subscribe, and click that effing bell, brother.
Do it.
Right
Or
here on
else.
the CraterMania channel, and we'll see you next time on How I Got Into Wrestling.